welcome to season 10 of Changing the Game. And this is our second episode featuring Irina McGrath. It's great to have you here with us, all about elevated branding of speaking, spreading your word, and how do you ultimately stand out from the competition and all the noise that we all have in our lives. So, if you missed any of our previous seasons or this conversation, it'll be on our YouTube page, Playmaker Coach. You can check that out to get all of the great insights and tips that were chance to meet before. It's great to be for about 20 years. It's been great the last few years to work with you individually and to help you spend more time staying on offense, scoring more of those ideal clients, and create more raving fans in your business. So I'll turn it over to Irina to start us off. We want to hear a little bit more about your practice, how long you've been in business. I know all this, but for everybody else, a little bit about your journey that brings us to our conversation today.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jen. My name is Irina McGrath. Actually, my 8th year anniversary was last month, so that was a big milestone. I started my practice in San Francisco in 2017, and I was a career changer. I was 39 when I actually came to this career. And my first 5 years was in San Francisco, and then we decided to move to Colorado 3 years ago. No one really prepares you for a giant move, and it just feels like you're starting your career new in a new space. Oh, okay. Yeah, so since then, I've built an integrated financial practice, meaning we focus on financial planning. It's not just insurance, it's not just wealth management. We do comprehensive planning. I currently have 2 team members, one of them being my husband, who lost his job in 2020 during COVID, while I was working so much because people were worried about COVID and risk management became really important for everyone in 2020. He wanted to help. We did a little trial and it worked. Turns out we work really well together professionally. So it's been with me for 5 years, and we have Rosie Brown on my team, who is a lead advisor on my team here in Denver and just helps me with servicing our clients.
Well, thanks for that context and everything. I know there's been a lot of evolution in there. It sounds like with the team dynamics, as well as relocating from one city to another, we know is hard enough to the business sometimes. So you've been able to navigate that very successfully. So as we dive into our topic about elevated branding, we want to start off and talk a little bit more about that transition from California to Colorado. And you work a lot with tech individuals and a diverse market and everything. How were you able to successfully navigate not just building your market and your client base once, but really doing it twice?
Oh, what a great question, Jen. So just very quickly, San Francisco is a very dynamic city, right? And of course, the tech is there. Inevitably, I was working with a lot of tech immigrants because that's a big part of the community. I'm an immigrant, so I could relate to them. And moving to Colorado, it was for the first year, there was no transitioning in terms of into the Colorado market. I was still flying constantly to California to see clients. And finally, I said, okay, I'm here in Colorado, so I need to do something. So I started joining organizations that I'm really passionate about. Like there's a project, I See You here in Denver. They help single moms to purchase home. It's like a nonprofit. It gives them money for a down payment. I joined, don't laugh at me, but women over 40 hiking groups.
I love it.
Yeah. So there was another organization that supports women entrepreneurs. So I just joined them. I became a speaker over there. So I started basically integrating into the community here in Colorado. And when I first started, one of my mentors mentioned and said, do something that you really enjoy doing and join those groups. So I joined a running group, for example. So I'm doing the things that I enjoy, but also I'm learning to become part of the communities. And then, and then I started doing what I used to do in San Francisco, which is hosting parties in terms of cooking for people, inviting people. And slowly, after 3 years now, I can say I have friends in here. There's an organization I'm part of, and Yeah, and I'm constantly also asking my existing clients, who do you know do you have a family member who's living in Colorado? You'll be surprised how many of them do. Oh, my sister lives in Boulder. And I said, will you be willing to make an introduction to them since I'm new? So I utilized my move in a way to my advantage and reaching out to clients and saying, I'm in a new state. I don't know anyone. Like, who do you know that will enjoy meeting with me? And then slowly I started getting those warm introductions from clients.
That's great. It sounded like you found some really ways to focus it by going back to the clients and leveraging the ones that you had. And I love that idea too around how do you align what already energizes you and what you're passionate about with where you're spending your time from a business perspective. And a lot of time we talk about the whole idea about that lead generation plan of, how do you have multiple things that are working for you? And it sounds exactly like what you did is like, hey, I had networking that I was very intentional about things that energize me. And I want to be surrounded with those kinds of people that are in those groups or recipients of that. You were going back to your existing clients. You were doing some events and everything. So you had multiple things that were helping to equip that, make that transition a little bit easier.
Mhm.
So as you've thought about that too, and over the years, refining kind of your own brand messaging to your niche, of who you can best serve. And part of that I know has been some of the changes to the team. How have you approached that and drilling into who your market is and what makes working with your team different than other advisors?
Yeah. Love the question. So, I think Jen and you and I have worked together on this, but I did a reflection on, I started basically monitoring my meetings, not just who the client is in terms of income, etc., but also who they are as a human and how am I walking away from the meetings in terms of energy. So I started monitoring kind of my energy levels with
Mm.
client meetings and who's draining me, who's kind of, and I know I don't want to make it about me because we're also here to serve our clients, but there are certain people who will drain you. And I realized, okay, I'm I'm not working well with software engineers, for example, but I work really well with attorneys. I work really well with nurses or nurse practitioners or anyone who is in art world. Like we have a lot of clients in New York or in advertising agencies, like they're artists. So I realized those are the people that I work really, really well with. And let me pause here. Is this answering your questions? Is it answering
Yeah,
your
yeah. I
question?
mean, I think you're spot on with the, hey, first off, doing some more reflection and observation about, where, like you said, where is your energy and how
Yeah.
does that align with where you're seeing, I would imagine, success as well.
Yeah, and also noticing, what clients are appreciating the time and an effort that we are putting into building financial plans with them, educating, creating the financial roadmap. Who are the ones who are actually appreciating our advice? So we did a little soul searching in that and just reviewing. Rosie and I would literally go back every Monday. We'd go back and just review our meetings and just kind of grade them, right? If 1 star, 5 stars, very simple. And then the second piece was doing self observation on myself, right? Reflecting on who I am and what are my strengths, right? And my strengths are, so instead of using it as oh, I'm a woman as a negative, I was like, oh, that's my strength as a woman. Like we can connect with the client in that emotional level so much better than men. Nothing against them, but we have that capacity, I think, as a woman. The second strength is, I am an immigrant, so I understand what that's like to come to the United States where you don't know anything about how the system works and how are things and certain questions that I can ask to immigrants that's relevant to them that maybe an American doesn't know because they don't know, like to ask those questions. And then, my community in San Francisco, we work with a lot of LGBTQ communities. So just utilizing that strength, understanding that they have special planning needs than other groups. So I just utilized my strengths and I just started letting the clients know. I think that was the brave point of, I always thought, oh, I can't talk about me. It's all about the client. And I realized those clients actually want to know me as a person too, outside of being a professional. So I would just share with them, like Morgan. I know Morgan is here, so I'll just tell Morgan, it's like right now in 2025, we're telling our clients what we're observing in the world. Oh, what we would observe in the world, wealth gap is so much wider now. And our mission is to go into those communities and help them to build financial stability, to build wealth. And, so I'm constantly now telling people who I am and what our mission is versus the first few years. It was just, there was a lot of fear around sharing.
Yeah. I know
Sharing.
that was some of the things that we worked on together too as you were going through that journey, right? Was like then as you were discovering it and finding that voice that you wanted to communicate, how do we use things like your website, your capabilities deck, some of those other things to share those
Mhm.
messages? I remember that journey to America was a big part of that, of your own experiences. And I think sometimes I hear from advisors are like, I feel like I have to be that professional, but sometimes when we share our own journey of like we can connect, but yet, you've had some experiences now that do separate you, that can be the value to the people that are a little bit behind you, that are just that next step and everything, that are trying to find their way, that you can help them move forward. So I love that concept of, you said, energy, leaning into your own strengths, and then sharing with your clients, bringing them along that they feel connected to you, and the vision that they're a part of as well. So one of the big places we want to make sure that we spend some time on too is, we call it kind of your try it at work tip. We stole this from Gretchen Rubin, if anybody listens to the Happier podcast, but I love this idea of like, what's that one thing maybe in the next 2 weeks that's tangible, that if anybody else is listening to this with like Morgan or anybody online and everything, it says, hey, I'm trying to figure out this branding side for myself. Where do I start with it? Or something that you said already resonates with them. What's one or two ideas that maybe you have for them that they could take and get started with right away?
Right. I think one idea, I did reflect a little bit more on this, Jen, is I realized that uh, the reason quite often people work with us is because of us, right? We've built trust with our clients. And so what I would recommend is just almost like going back to the group of cheerleaders, which are your clients at this point, and just have a check in with them. But what I say check in is more so to remind them that we're working together towards reaching your goals. But I don't know, when was the last time I shared with you what is it that we're trying to accomplish as, let's say, financial planning practice, as just a group. Um, and the reason I came up with the idea, Jen, because our clients were emailing us and saying, "Are you taking new clients?" And I realized they actually have no idea. Like, I'm not sharing with them. So now we go back to the clients periodically. So we have a structure when, not as much as I would like to, but each month I will pick up the phone and just call 4 to 5 clients, just randomly. How are you? I'm just checking in with you. How are things in 2025? But it's also an opportunity for me to remind them that we have a vision also, and our vision is to help 50 households every year to have a financial plan, and everyone deserves to have a plan. Everyone deserves to know what they have to do. Um, and yeah, so, and right now that has become even part of my conversation with the clients on an ongoing basis. And then once a year, we do send out kind of a thank you, kind of for your trust, kind of email to our clients. So, well, what I'm trying to say is go back to that one thing you can do, go back to the clients that you've built strong relationships with, and talk to them about your vision and open the doorway to ask for referrals for
Yeah,
one
yeah. And
things.
they always say in the absence of communication, that's where people make up their own stories, right? So if you're not telling them like, here's our vision and here's what we're looking to get introduced to, or how many clients we're looking to grow to, or build how we're building our team, they don't know. They're going to assume. And I love that you're doing that at kind of random reach out too, because then it's not just like, oh yeah, they're going to call me on my birthday or whatever. I get that, but it's like, oh, they're thinking about me, and they want to connect with me, and you're opening that conversation in between those kind of formal planning conversations, when that's when really life happens too, right?
That's true.
All the
Yeah.
day-to-day things, and you're like, I don't know, can I call you and talk to them about this or something? Like, you're giving some more space for that. So some great paces in there in terms of our existing clients. And then I know there was something around your LinkedIn strategy and how you've also been able to leverage that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So generally, and I'll use a recent example, completely independently, we got referred to two clients who both work for Netflix. So what I would do in those cases when we have multiple clients in one company or one firm, I will, of course, we do have a strategy. When every person we meet, we immediately make a connection with them on LinkedIn. And the beauty of LinkedIn is, there's always that 6 degree of separation, right? We're so connected. I will find that there's a lot of mutual connections. So I'll just go and start requesting connections, like our second connections, let's say, with that person, with a very brief message, just letting them know who we are. And who we are is that we're a female focused or a family focused financial planning practice. If they're, let's say, part of a law firm, we say we specialize working in your industry. In a tech world, we'll say we specialize working with individuals with compensated income structures like the stocks. So relate to them. Absolutely. If it's a woman, I'll say that's we run a female focused financial planning practice. And if financial planning has been on your mind or having a direction for the future, we would love an opportunity to connect. Very brief. One thing I don't do, Jen, and maybe that's just me as a person, but I don't go back and forth because the beauty of LinkedIn, I can just click on my profile and know who I am and what is it that we do. So I don't go back and forth. I immediately let them know that this is what we do. And if you are in a market, if you're in a right stage of life that you're thinking about having a working with a financial planner, we're here. Um, People sometimes it's a no. I have someone and I'll celebrate it with them and say that's amazing. That's exactly what I want to hear. Sometimes the timing isn't right. Sometimes it's just crickets, of course, because it is LinkedIn, and there are a lot of sometimes you'll find that person that you reached out at just the right time that they were just looking for you. But we constantly are engaging, um, trying to create, let's say, as many connections as we can in one company.
Mm.
And we also know the benefits, so we can truly go and talk to those clients and provide value for
Yeah,
them.
I think that goes to what you talked about of like kind of leaning into that brand and leaning into who your ideal client was and creating those niche markets because you are able to go really deep. You're like, I understand this in a way that other people may not and provide that immediate value that you can connect with them on. And, I think what I've seen is when the world of LinkedIn, there isn't one right answer. What works for one person may not work for another. So you have to think about your own
True.
style. And this seems very authentic the way you talked about it and spoke about it. That's what I would expect if I were based off of reading your website and getting to know you. If it wasn't like that and it was immediately like, hey, I'm just all about trying to get an appointment and stuff like that doesn't feel like you. So not to say
Yeah.
that for some people that's not the right answer, but think about what strategy on LinkedIn makes sense for what your own individual brand is. And it
That's
sounds
right.
like you found a way to customize this to make it work for you to still be able to do some reach out via LinkedIn, but do it in a way that is authentic with what your brand is.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And just to also share one success story, Jen, actually two,
Mm.
because when we worked with you, we changed our wording in a website, made it a little bit more personal. Since then, I had people reach out to me without just because they were in the Bay Area, they were looking for a female advisor and they were part of LGBTQ. And then I was, I guess, the only person that came up.
Mm.
Even though I'm in Colorado, they were still, I don't know how, but I said, how did you find me? They said, we just Googled female advisor who works with LGBTQ, your name came up. And that was all because of the work we had done together.
Yeah.
So
Well, a
that's
lot of
just
times, right, we
amazing.
want to think about is what are people Googling? What would they be out there searching? And then, how can you weave that in, right? If that's part of your message or part of your market, how do we weave in some of those questions that they might be asking or say that, you work in that space? Because I always encourage advisors. I was just talking to one the other day too, and they said, hey, I'm trying to work in, I can't remember which market it was. Maybe it was, blue collar business owners. I'm like, go out there and search like Northwestern Mutual, blue collar, or specific occupations within that and see what you find. Because I mean, a client would be searching for some things along those lines. Do a little research, and you can either one, find some things that maybe you can learn from other advisors, like what we're learning from Irina today, that you're like, hey, that would be great. And I could implement that in my practice. Or two, wow, maybe there's really not much out here and there's an opportunity for me to differentiate myself and be present in this space because nothing else is really showing up if somebody in that market was looking for resources that you could provide.
Yeah.
So we want to open it up to some Q&A. Morgan, if you have some questions, love to give you a platform. You can unmute yourself or put it in the chat. We certainly would love to be able to help make sure that, you took the time to invest in this today. What can we help you make sure that you walk away with that might be pertinent to your specific situation?
This was really helpful. I took down some notes about like searching, like the financial advisors and some description features to learn what else to put in my profile possibly, and then also the language about when reaching out to people on LinkedIn. So that was very helpful.
Great.
Amazing. How long have you been in a career, Morgan?
Started May 2020, so almost 5 years.
Congrats. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Mhm.
That's huge. Yeah, are there any challenges, anything that you want to, pick our brain? I think we have, what, 5, 6 minutes?
Yeah, we have a little bit of time.
The biggest challenge is time to get to the marketing type things. That's
Yeah.
the biggest hurdle at this point.
Yeah. And what is do you have any support team members?
Yes, everyone's relatively new.
Okay.
So full-time person who's about 6 months in, and then I'm in downtown Chicago, so lots of college ladies. So I usually have a college student or two that helps about 10, 15 hours a week.
Okay.
And I would like them to open up what they're doing to be able to get on LinkedIn again. Because when I first started, that's what I had my college girls doing, and it was great. But then they just started doing more complex things, and we got away from that. So now I want to bring them back now that I have a full-time person to reaching out to people on LinkedIn.
Well, Irina and I were talking a little bit about how the business evolves, right? And some of the complexity and different challenges over time and changes with the team. So, Irina, what would you like to share, in terms of maybe experience of how do you find time to weave in some of these marketing strategies into the practice?
Yeah. I mean, time is hard, right? I don't know your situation, Morgan, but I'm also a parent, and so the only way I'm able to find time is I'm fully away from social media. So, but I actually literally time it 15 minutes. I'll get on my phone, go to LinkedIn. Let me use my recent example. I'll click on Google, let's say, which I actually did, Morgan, when I moved to Colorado. There is a Google office here. So I started specifically reaching out to individuals who are here in Boulder and saying, I recently moved to San Francisco. We specialize in working with individuals at Google. Would love an opportunity to connect. And then what I would do on my phone from my couch, I will request connections. And then when they do connect, I'll just quickly reach out. So what I will do, I did it this morning. I'll get on my computer at 8:30. Between 8:30 and 9, it's kind of a marketing time. Marketing time meaning out of all the people that we talked to, let's say this week or last week, have I connected with them on LinkedIn? Yesterday we're talking to a guy in Boston. He works for Vertex Pharmaceutical stock options. So while Rosie was talking to him, I was on LinkedIn requesting connections. So at least I try to max out all the available connections through LinkedIn. And please also know, Morgan, LinkedIn is like my discomfort zone. I don't feel comfortable. So the whole team has challenged me, and I challenge myself to do one brave act per day, which is this is it. Reach out to people you don't know. And sometimes I'll just reach out with the C-level VPs, etc., just so I can live in that uncomfortable zone of like I'm reaching out to people that, are, let's say, above my pay grade, right, at that stage. So, but you don't need a lot of time. All you need is just like 15 to 20 minutes a day to just do those requests and then copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, because we're saying the similar things all the time. That's literally it. And then when they do reach out, I also don't want to be kind of desperate. I give a couple days. I'll just maybe wait a week. or they made a connection, I'll just go under my connection, see recent connections, and just say, it was so lovely. I'm so glad we connected. Here's what we do, just very briefly. You have your own kind of a vision, what you're doing, I think, at 5 years. Let me know if you'll be open to a conversation. That's it. That's really it. But I also, one last thing I'll tell you, my part of my brave act is also to reach out to people that I think they won't connect with me. And here's what happened listening to NPR podcast, Hidden Brain. There's this woman, professor at CU Boulder. She was phenomenal. I went and found her on LinkedIn, and she accepted. And I was like, oh my God. Now I'm like geeking out. I was like, I listen to podcasts. You're amazing. I'm in Boulder all the time. Let me know if you want to grab coffee. I didn't even talk about financial planning. I just wanted to meet with her as a human being.
Yeah. Most
So
people won't take that extra step, right? Like that's a way you can set you apart, that you are somebody that took that step to reach out. And, I think it's always about more too of like, yeah, the less is more. It's about doing it that 15 minutes a day and just that consistency, like Irina talked about, versus trying to do everything. And it's like, oh, I did it 1 month and then the next month I'm like, oh, I can't sustain that. So like, what can you do that you can really commit to and make part of your processes? And certainly you can leverage your team, or that's a lot what we help advisors with as well for certain pieces of it. But I also have this concept of, I like how Irina has gotten concrete of what she's going to do with that time. Sometimes when we have something on here, like I know I've been guilty of it, it's like, hey, here's my strategy time or my business planning time. It's like, well, what does that really mean? And you might feel that way with marketing. I hear that all the time, right? Like, oh, I have marketing time. Like, but if you get concrete and say, here's my 15 minutes marketing time, I'm going to go out and I'm going to connect with 5 people. I'm going to check my link or my website, make sure everything looks fresh. I'm going to maybe reach out about a speaking engagement. Like, here's my kind of checklist that I'm going to do during that time. That might help to also make sure that you really harness that time in a very focused way, and you know what you're going to do during it versus kind of like, it's marketing time. So that might be something to consider as well.
yeah, and then one last comment I have, Morgan, is the third Fridays of the month, I don't work. What I mean by that is like no client meetings at all. That's the time to do the bigger things, like not just the LinkedIn outreach, or just like even recently I went to the website. I was like, it worked out. It was fine last year when Jen and I were working on it, but now I'm like, I've changed as a human being. I want it different. So I'm already thinking I want certain things to be different in a website. So that will be the third Fridays of the month is when I'm working on the business, not in the business, and marketing is part of that. So you have to force yourself to kind of block that time. There's just, otherwise in this business, we will always be busy. Always.
Yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
that helps.
Yeah, there's the things that are kind of a little bit more in the sales cycle, and then those things, that it's like, hey, these are things like we need to give some more thought to. That is helpful to do at a dedicated time. Great question, Morgan. That's one that comes up all the time. That I think everybody struggles with at one point or another in many different areas of our lives and everything. So appreciate that. I'm sure if you want to go a little bit deeper and everything like that, would love to have a conversation with you, as well as I'm sure Irina would always loves to connect with other advisors across the system as well. So if you have additional questions too, feel free to email them, Jennifer@playmakercoach.com. And Irina, for joining us. We always want to get back to an organization that our speakers are passionate about. What's an organization that I know there's a lot that you're connected to? What's one organization that we can help support and for giving us your time and expertise today?
One organization. Whew, that's
I know, hard to choose, right?
that is, I'm always focused on the female based. The one that I'm thinking, and of course we have to check in with them, but we work with the Women's Cancer Center. It's there in Berkeley in Northern California. They basically created this remarkable space for women that it's free. They can go. They're going through cancer treatments. They have all kinds of resources and activities and support for them. I just find they're just remarkable. I don't know if it's outside of Northwestern Mutual. So
no, perfectly. Yeah, this does not have to be within Northwestern Mutual. I love to just support organizations that are providing needed services and doing great things in the world, because we all need more of that. So I'll follow up with you separately to get some information, and we love to do that. And,
Absolutely.
whether as you're listening to this, you're looking for an idea or two, or to really create more of that winning system. One of the great next steps is you can request your own digital marketing checkup on our website, playmakercoach.com/checkup, and love to put together some personalized recommendations for you on how you can use your digital presence as kind of that foundation, that storefront, to open up some of your branding and some of these other things that Irina mentioned today. And remember Irina's try it at work tips. She gave us some really great ones today about going back to your clients first and foremost, reestablish what that vision is for them, as well as for that they understand your vision with them, and try the LinkedIn strategy. Find a way to make it work for you to connect authentically using LinkedIn with people. We'll be back on 2 weeks on April 17th with Dipti Krishna. She's here in the Milwaukee area, and she transitioned from being a home office employee to being a successful advisor. Has done Pacesetter 40, MDRT. One of the leaders in the central region, works also a lot in the diverse market as well. I know she's actually overseas right now, so she'll be coming back fresh from her travel adventures to share some of her experience with digital presence, speaking, sponsorships, all in terms of ways that has helped her elevate her practice. If you're not getting our monthly newsletter with all of our different webinars and events, you can also subscribe to those to make sure you stay in the know of other resources that are coming your way. And we look forward to connecting in a couple weeks. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll follow up with you with those details, and then we'll get something on the calendar and we can talk a little bit more about what you maybe want to freshen up or other things that are on your mind.
That sounds great. Thanks,
Okay.
Jen.
You're
Okay.
welcome. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.